put our minds back into 1914. So, what happened on August 4th, 1914? Anybody know?
The war was declared.
Exactly. So Great Britain declared war. And so another question. This is the Canadian flag, as all of you know. But do you think that back in 1914 that Canada was flying the same flag?
Absolutely not.
No? What was it flying instead?
The British ensign.
Exactly. So that flag was called the Union Jack. So back in 1914, Canada was actually a dominion of Great Britain, which means that when Great Britain declared war, that Canada was also automatically at war. So it was automatically at war, but it could decide what it wanted to contribute. So it would contribute, it could contribute either one of two things. So it could contribute money, men, or munitions. What do you think it contributed?
All three.
Exactly, it was kind of a trick question. So it contributed all three. So we're here though, just to commemorate the men that were contributed to the war effort. So it actually did contribute about 60,000 men, sorry, not 60,000, 600,000 men by the end of the war. And so it did have a population of 8 million at the time. So roughly 7% of the population contributed. You can imagine that that would have had a huge impact. So the Canadians were brought over here to capture Vimy Ridge from the German forces. Now, there are a couple reasons why they were sent over here. So one was its economic importance of Vimy Ridge. So who's been down to the monument? I know that there's been a couple people. Did you notice that there are kind of mountains that look like pyramids in the distance? Yeah, so those are called slag heaps. So the slag heaps are actually remnants of coal mines from back in 1914. So that would have had a huge economic importance. And also it would have had a railroad down there. There's no more railroad today, but it would have been there back in 1914, over 100 years ago. Also, if you were at the monument, you can look down and see that you are on a hill. So the monument stands on hill 145, which is 145 meters above sea level. You're on high ground, which gives you more control, and it serves as a good viewpoint. All right, so any questions? That's a lot of information. Yeah? We're all good? Okay, well, we'll make our way down here. You'll also notice that these trees there's a lot of maple trees. So they were actually brought here just to kind of represent a similar Canadian landscape.
Oh, very nice.
So yeah, they're not native to France. Yeah.
So we noticed the forests. I mean, were a lot of those trees bombed out when the shelling was happening? And are they
no
new
trees.
growth? So they're sort of new growth from 1918 onwards.
Yes, so after the war, the French government really wanted to put things back to the way that they were because they were very sad about the war. So they planted forests on basically every battleground. And so there's a lot of pines here.
A lot of them must have been injured doing that. If there's still shells, right?
Exactly, yeah. So, guys, I'm just spread out over here. As long as you see me, it's completely quiet. So, can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so here we are at the Canadian front line. So if you look over there, you will notice that there is a trench. That would have been the Canadian front line. Imagine that on August 9th, that would have been filled with a ton of Canadian soldiers that would have been able to jump out of the trench and move forward into the attack. Over here is a different kind of trench. So that's a communications trench. So communications were very important during the war. In order for soldiers to cooperate with one another, they could cooperate by communicating in 3 different ways. So first of all, they could send runners. Anybody want to guess what that is?
Very dangerous.
It was very dangerous. So it was a messenger. So they would relay messages from one point to another. And they actually had a lifespan of about 10 days.
Oh, wow.
So you can imagine how vulnerable they would have been. There were also telephone wires spanning these communication trenches. But once again, they were very vulnerable to any shelling and artillery fire. So if the telephone line was cut, they couldn't communicate by telephone anymore. The third way was through visual signals, so they could send flares or lights, things like that. All right? So it is just important to note that that is why the vulnerability of the communications trenches are the reason why they started digging subways. So they're 8 meters underground and just a little bit less vulnerable to all of the attacks that would have happened above ground. Behind me, you'll see fields right now, but back in 1914, they would not have been fields. So those would have actually been reserve trenches, so trenches like we see here, and they would have been filled up with men that could come and help supporting in front lines. So in an army you have positions made up of 3 different lines. Here we are at the front line, but then there's also a supporting line and a reserve line. So those would have been back there. There would have also been billeting stations. So anybody want to guess what a billeting station is?
That's a place you'd sleep.
Exactly. So that would have been their home. So soldiers would have been there, they would have played sports, met locals, but they would have also prepared for battle back there. All right? So any questions?
Was that in the little towns around here, or?
Yes, so it was in villages. So they would have actually been at Mont Saint-Edouard.
Okay.
So that's a town right back there. All right?
And the Germans would just been the other line was just
Yes, we'll see it later. But yeah, you'll get a chance to see how close they were. So the observation trenches were about 25 meters apart, so you'll be able to see that. All right. So any more questions? No? Okay. So we're about to just go down into the subway. Just a couple safety measures beforehand. Just know that there are some low-hanging beams, so please watch your head. There's also some uneven ground, so just watch out for that as well. Know that there are a lot of stairs, and also if you ever do feel uncomfortable in any way, just let me know and I'll let you out. All right? Okay. Oh, and also, can I give someone the very important job of just closing the door behind? All right.
I will.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Sure, your bag's open, just so you know.
Is it?
Oh, is it? Oh, okay.
Oh, not mine.
Je descends dans les souterrains avec dispatch en main.
Merci.
The original door?
No.
Are you cold, baby? You want me to get your back?
No, good. Which way we're going?
Okay, just right here. As long as you can see me in here.
Where are you from, Ellie?
I'm from Ottawa.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
This side here?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. It's a lot. All right, so can everyone hear me? Okay, perfect. So now everyone, we are in the Grange subway. So subways were kind of similar to communication trenches. So this would have only been used for communications down here. They would have sent runners, and they also would have had telephone lines down here. It's a little bit hard to use visual cues. Okay, so there have been a couple modifications from 1917 till today. So first of all, anything that you see in concrete is not original. So that was put there in the 1920s during the Restoration period, just for the safety and well-being of our visitors. But they would have actually had wooden beams to support the structure. Also, these tunnels are made out of kind of like a rectangle shape, but back in the day, they would have been made out of an arch shape, which is a self-supporting structure. All right. Also, these lighting systems, it would have been a lot dimmer. All right. So they would have had lights at 220 volts, and they would have been spaced apart about 20 meters apart. So if you want, I can turn off the lights in here just to give you a sense of what that would have looked like.
Oh, wow.
So you can imagine that it would have been very dark down here, very damp, and very hard to see and just carry out tasks. All right? So you'll also notice that these walls have white stones in them. So I'll give you a hint as to what kind of stone this is. You use it on a blackboard. So,
Chalk.
exactly. So anyone who's used chalk knows that it breaks very easily, right? So that would have actually been a huge advantage when they were digging these tunnels, because chalk is very soft and it also is very porous, which allows for oxygen to flow a little bit better down here, 8 meters underground. All right. Any questions? No? All right, here, I'll just scoot on right by and we'll walk through. We're going to get to that at the next stop, but yeah, it would have been very damp down here, and we're actually fighting and
Imagine living down here for years at a time. Months or weeks, or yeah, rats and all sorts of critters you don't want.
How many kilometers of tunnels would there actually be down here?
So this one was 1.2 kilometers, but there were 13 different subways actually. So there would have been approximately 10 kilometers of subways all the way down here. Yeah, so we're only walking through about 150 meters of the tunnel. Just for safety reasons, the other parts are closed off, but yeah. All right, so can everyone see?
Yeah.
Okay, so here we are at Black Watch Tunnel. So the point of this stop is just
Sorry.
to give you a sense of what it looked like when it was being constructed. So the tunnels were constructed by Royal Engineers. So those would have been British engineers that came here prior to 1917 when the attack on Vimy Ridge did happen, who would have come down and dug these tunnels. You can imagine it would have been very dangerous. Deaths did occur. But you can see that there are some chalk bags. So they would have actually dug about 50 meters a day. So for each meter, they would have taken out 200 chalk bags worth. So you can imagine how fast they were working.
And where did that go? Just to form a...
So they would actually cover it with mud, just because chalk is bright white, right? So in order to conceal the tunnels from the other forces, they would put mud over top of it, or dirt, just to kind of conceal the white color. So you'll also notice that there is a hole right there. So that is because in the spring here, it does rain a lot. And when it rains above ground, it also rains underground. So that would have been a natural filtration system, just to kind of keep the water flowing into one spot.
Wow.
All right. Any questions? Okay.
bigger.
So we're gonna get out. Can I just ask you to close the door again
Yes.
behind us? Thank you so much. All right.
Thank you.
does.
Welcome everyone to the Canadian Vimy Ridge. You might notice you're a little out of breath. I am as well. And it's not because you've been eating too many croissants in France, don't worry. It's actually because there were less, the oxygen levels were a little bit less underground, so now when we're above ground, our bodies are making us pant a little bit. So, I'll try to get
I think the summary of you fine.
Yeah.
Exactly. So we are right now in a Canadian observation trench. So the point of this trench would have been to observe the German forces that are 25 meters away. So there have been a couple modifications between 1917 and now. So first of all, these trenches would have been a lot higher. They would have actually been 8 feet tall, since the average height of a man back then would have been 5'6". Imagine that would have been helpful to conceal them a little bit. Also, you'll notice that there are concrete blocks. These would have been sandbags, but just to make it a little bit more solid, we've made them into concrete. Also, you'll notice that there are a little bit of ladder type things here. These are called duck boards. So, everything saying, I said that there was a lot of rain. Can anyone guess as to why they needed duck boards back then?
Stay out of the water.
Exactly.
And the rats underneath it.
Yeah, exactly. So, these would have actually been made out of wood, and they would have been a little bit more elevated than they are right now. So they would have helped just to keep the soldiers' feet out of water. Because has anyone heard of trench foot? So that would have helped to mitigate it a little bit. Alright, so you'll also notice that these trenches are made in a zigzag shape. So that was actually on purpose. So first of all, if there were to be any munitions that were to detonate in the trenches, then the zigzag shape would help to contain it a little bit. Also, if a soldier were to land in the trench, well, a soldier from an opposing force, and if they had a gun, they were kind of limited to shoot whoever was around them, right? So imagine if it's a straight trench, you can shoot everyone in the trench, but this way you're a little bit more protected. All right? Any questions? No? All right, let's take our way through. Sorry.
Yeah, filth and all sorts of nasty.
Oh, exactly. All right.
Lice,
Oh, lice was a huge issue.
big issue.
Yeah. You hear stories, they would pick it off of their clothes.
Add it to their soup.
Right now, we are in no man's land. So no man's land is the area between the trenches of one force and the other. observation trenches. They're about 25 meters apart.
Oh, wow.
They're very close to each other, yeah. So you can imagine what that would have been like.
I don't think I can.
No.
No. Yeah. So over here, you'll notice that there are huge craters. So those would have been made by tunneling 30 to 35 meters underground. They would plant a charge called aluminum, and that would actually detonate the area, creating these huge craters that you see here. So these craters were made mainly just to push back the opposing forces. The element of surprise was there. Right? They could also take possession of the crater and then try to take the other force's trench. All right? So just to kind of sum up the battle that happened here over 100 years ago. So it did happen from April 9th till April 12th of 1917. So that's a total of 4 days. Where we're standing right here was where the 3rd Division was, but there were actually 4 divisions here taking Vimy Ridge. So it's about a 7-kilometer front. All right, so for those of you who have been at the monument, that's where the 4th Division was taking Hill 145. It took them 2 days, but for the rest of the 3 divisions, it took them 1 day to take the ridge. So that being said, it did take only 2 days to take all 4 goals, but the battle did last for 4 days. That's because there's another hill called the Pimple, which is a hill right next to the ridge called 145, and the German forces had used that as a stronghold. So they could actually shoot down on any forces that were taking Vimy Ridge. So it was important for the Canadian forces to take that as well. So that took them an extra 2 days. All right? So this was actually the first time that all 4 Canadian divisions had fought together. They used a technique called the rolling barrage, where you really time artillery and the advancement of infantrymen, which led to their success. That being said, it didn't come without cost. So there were actually 10,000 Canadian casualties that happened here, which was a huge number. So we do talk about success, but we also do need to talk about sacrifice. So that's the end of the tour. Thank you very much for coming. So I really do encourage you to go and walk around the German trenches as well. We don't take you there on tour. And if you have any questions for the next 30 minutes, I'll be at the flagpole. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ellie.
Now we're going to go into the German trenches. Very interesting what we learned about blowing the holes up so that you could move closer to the opposing forces.
Well, we were closer.
Terrifying. Go ahead, honey.
Keep going.
From the German line, looking over to the Canadian line. The edge of the hill, just in front of where the Canadian flag is. Danger sign was a German with a Mauser. I think the Canadians had Lee Enfields, or I'd have to check. I forget what kind of rifle we used back then. Another observation point. Keep your head down. You get your head shot.
Well, they had big helmets.
I think they were more for shrapnel and stuff. If something exploded, it would bounce off. But I'm not sure. Well, bullets would too, I guess. But if it was a straight shot, I'm pretty sure it would go right through the middle of the helmet.
Well, you'd certainly hurt your head.
Yeah, it would knock you out for sure. You'd be out of the game. Well, of course, it's not a game, but you know, you'd be taken back to the hospital. Okay, do you want to go up? Looks like part of a howitzer buried.